Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Paul, the Canadian Snowman, here with another Geography Now video. We're on to Sri Lanka. Woo! First foremost, I want to apologize about my glasses because I can see that there's a reflection of the screen in my light, and I do apologize if that's distracting to you. But anyways, and also I think that there's a couple of you mentioned that there's a country that's not on this playlist. I forget which one it is. So if I've passed a country that's not on the playlist that I haven't done yet, definitely comment below what that country is, because this is the last country on this playlist. So there won't be any more Geography Now countries until they start releasing more. So there's that. But yeah, anyway, we're gonna Sri Lanka and check you guys out. Definitely heard the name before, but other than that, don't know really a whole lot about it. But we're gonna jump right into this, guys, and see what awesomeness has in store for us. Anyways, guys, please hit that like and subscribe button below. I'd really appreciate it. Helps me out a lot. And we're gonna jump right into the video. Whee! Dun, dun, dun. 3, 2, 1.
The Pearl of the Indian Ocean, the Teardrop of India, the Isle of Dharma, Ceylon, Taprobana, Serendip, and Mumudi Chola Mandalaman. To the Tamil, it's Ilankai. To the Sinhalese, it's the one you've probably heard, Sri Lanka. This place has had so many names, and today it goes by the next country up here on Geography Now.
Here we go.
It's time to learn geography now!
Hey everybody, I'm your host Barbs. Get a Geography Now mug and Geography Now shirt at geographynow.com.
Got it.
Selling out if it's my brand. Few countries on Earth have such a small size with a massive ancient backstory that predates the invention of paper. And as you guys know, I love having people from the countries in the country episode. Today's guest star is going to be Janelle.
What's poppin', Sri Lanka?
First of all, what is this you got going on?
This is actually, so if I were to wear this shirt in white and wear my white sarong, that would have considered the national outfit for Sri Lanka. But I had to spice it up, man, you know.
Clearly,
We matching.
Yeah.
We matching.
All right, Janelle, very quickly, what are some things you...
Does it matter what color your outfit is? Or because he's wearing red, so does it really matter? It's just that white is just the most common color? Or is there like a bad color wear? Just curious.
Up, man, you know.
Clearly,
We matching.
Yeah.
We matching.
All right, Janelle, very quickly, what are some things you think the whole world should know about Sri Lanka?
We have the most prettiest girls on earth. Check. And prettiest guys too. You see this. Hospitality it's at like 308%.
Yes.
And hey, lastly, we are not Indian.
You are not India. You are not Indians.
Nothing wrong with India though. Hey, I love India. I'm just letting y'all know.
With that, let's jump into this country that is definitely not India.
Let's do it.
So Sri Lanka has quite a bit of going on in the way their land operates and holds together. Oh, and the best part, y'all know, man, we got a city called Kandy. Hey, Kandy! Welcome to the Candy Shop.
First of all, the country is an island nation located in South Asia, situated in the Indian Ocean, south of the Bay of Bengal, just off the southeast coast of...
Okay, I'm sure it might actually cover this, and I might actually be wrong about this. Like, I might have the countries mixed up. Isn't there like a fishing dispute between like India and Sri Lanka? I mean, like they go into each other's waters or something, and there's like this big thing going on, about stealing each other's fish or something. Like, I remember seeing some kind of video on it. I forget which video it was. I'm just trying to remember if it was these two countries that were involved, because it definitely rings a bell for So, anyways.
Located in South Asia, situated in the Indian Ocean, south of the Bay of Bengal, just off the southeast coast of India's Tamil Nadu state. The interesting thing is, the country is almost connected to India via the Ramu Setu Bridge, sometimes called Adams Bridge, an incredibly shallow, partially submerged series of sandbanks, shoals, and islands, only about 100 meters wide, that straddles between India's Pamban Island and Sri Lanka's Mannar Island. The space between Pamban and Mannar, known as the Palk Strait, is only about 25 kilometers wide, and due to the shallow depth, reaching at maximum 10 meters deep, this hinders all large-scale cargo ships from passing through from the Gulf of Mannar in the south to the Palk Bay in the north. At one point, this shallow channel was reportedly passable on foot until a cyclone in 1480 destroyed what little land was above water. Today, any maritime trade must either go completely around Sri Lanka, otherwise land or air transport is the only way around. In any case, the capital is Sri Jayawardenepura Kotte, a neighborhood within the...
What about like a road? Like since it's so shallow, is there any like talk of just building a bridge right there? I mean, they said it's shallow. It just doesn't seem like it'd be too difficult, but you know, I get it. Then again, if the countries aren't that close, you know, together, they might not want it, or just it's just too expensive. It's not like risk reward, you know. It's not, you know, you don't have a whole lot to gain by having a bridge there. Maybe that's why they don't want to build it. I don't know. Maybe you guys can let me know in the comments, because I know if you live there, you probably heard more talk about this and stuff.
The largest metropolitan city of Colombo. Colombo is often mistaken or just default called the capital because it's easier to say, but nope, to be fair, it's Sri Jayawardenepura Kotte. The country is divided into 9 provinces, each with their own little flag, and the 9 provinces are further divided into 25 districts. The country has 5 international airports, and of course the biggest and busiest one is in Colombo, Bandaranaike International Airport. In addition though, the country has 20 waterdromes, or airports for seaplanes, throughout the coasts and interior of the country. They are all operated by Sri Lanka Airlines domestic branch called Sri Lankan Air Taxi, with its hub at Colombo's Kelani River Peliagoda Waterdrome. From there, the port of Colombo is not only the largest port of the country, but also the largest transshipment hub in South Asia. The country has a very extensive rail network that reaches almost every part of the country except the sparsely populated southeast, which also has the Yala National Park that no roads or towns can be built on. The rails have 3 main lines: the Colombo Operating Region lines in the southwest, the Anuradhapura Operating Region lines in the north and northeast, and the Nawalapitia Operating Region lines in the Central Highlands. Here you can reach the highest destinations of the country, like the famous city of Kandy.
The literal Candy Kingdom, and that's for the Westerners, but I'm gonna say like Nuara Raja. Kandy is called Nuara, so we say Nuara Raja.
Oh, and also, Janelle, I heard something about the word hotel. It means something different in Sri Lanka. Explain about that.
It's so funny that you caught that. So hotel is it could be your sandwich shop, man.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh yeah, there's a hotel over there.
So if I go to Sri Lanka and I ask for a hotel, you could point me to a cafe.
Depends on what you're looking for and whom you ask.
You have to be specific.
Yeah.
Now in Sri Lanka, you're gonna see a lot of past and present. For example, of course, you have the metropolitan layout of skyscrapers and towers in Colombo or Negombo. But then right in the middle of the city, you'll find statue after statue of Buddha and centuries-old traditional dagobas, I think. That's what I heard. What are they called?
Oh. It's called Bodhia. You know, you're talking about the half dome, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's the Bodhia.
Shrine thing, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you call it? Bodhia?
Bodhia.
Janelle, thank you for correcting me. Oh, and all over it, you'll see tanks or huevas, I think they're called. They were built by...
Man, y'all, he's trying. He said vevas. It's called a veva, you know?
Veva.
Veva.
Veva. Va. Now explain what is a veva.
So that's a man-made, pretty much a lake, and they're all over Sri Lanka, man. Depending on the kingdom, you know, each and every single king, Parakrama Bahu, I think.
That's what I have written down. Yep, and he built the largest one, the Parakrama Samudra.
Yes, Parakrama Samudra. Damn.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and fun fact, under that king, Sri Lanka actually for short periods of time actually kind of took over parts of South India and what is now Myanmar. But it wasn't exactly colonizing. It was kind of more like this. We are best friends. Yeah. I am the new king, and I'm gonna tax the out of my own people and kill trading envoys from Sri Lanka.
Yeah, we can't have that, so... Okay, so your old king is dead, and we've been managing you guys for a while, but now we're gonna elect a new king. This is the new king!
Hey, Sri Lanka, the Chola Empire is like really attacking us hard. A little help?
Sure. Well, we defeated the enemy, but your king is dead. I guess we'll manage things here until we can find a new king for you. Okay, I found you a new king.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? It's kind of like they could have colonized Myanmar and South India, but we're like, it's easier if we just like raise up a king that would be compliant with our side.
In any case, Sri Lanka has so many projects going on. Colombo has...
So basically, South India could basically be part of Sri Lanka, you know, if they just wanted to take it over, right? You know, because it was basically theirs for the taking, but they just kind of like let it go. That's interesting.
the international financial city. And in the south, you have the controversial Hambantota Harbor, the second largest port in the country, which is leased out to China for 99 years.
We've discussed this before, but in case you missed it, basically, often my Indian subscribers kind of describe the scenario like this.
Oh, hey, Pakistan.
Hey, India.
What do you have there?
Oh, I'm building a port on Gwadar.
Oh, cool. It's pretty big.
Yeah, it's being funded by the Chinese.
Oh, what have you got there, Myanmar?
I am building a port and an oil line in Kyakpyu.
Cool.
Oh, and it's also being financed by the Chinese for the Belt Road Initiative.
Oh, jeez. What about you, Bangladesh? Wait, don't tell me.
Oh, you mean Sonadia Port? No, I scrapped that plan with China a long time ago.
Oh.
Instead, I'm going for Matabari Port. Oh, because it's funded by the Japanese.
Ah.
Because Chittagong was already taken by the Chinese.
What?
By the way, guys, this is my buddy Diogo visiting from Brazil.
Hi, guys.
So yeah, when Sri Lanka is also in that game, India is kind of like, yeah. But moving on!
Sri Lanka is a land full of mystic sites. They have 8 UNESCO heritage sites, right? 6 man-made and 2 natural. Tourism is a huge part of our country, baby.
Apart from the, UNESCO sites, here's Antoinette explaining a few more extra sites that you could check out in Sri Lanka.
Hi guys, I'm Antoinette, coming to you from Quebec, Canada. Alright, there are so many temples and ruins, some of the most notable ones being the Buddha Tooth Relic Temple in Kandy, Sima Maleka Temple in Barra Lake, Hindu temples in Jaffna and Trincomalee, like the Nalur Kandaswamy Kaval Temple, and the Ritagala Buddhist Monastery ruins. You have other places such as the Commonwealth War Cemetery in Kandy, the National Museum of Colombo, the Ella Tea Plantations, the Lotus Tower in Colombo, St. Lucia's Cathedral, the Nine Arch Bridge.
That Lotus Tower is pretty awesome. Like that thing stands out to me like big time, so I just wanted to pause and say that.
Ella Tea Plantations, the Lotus Tower in Colombo, St. Lucia's Cathedral, the Nine Arch Bridge, the beaches in Hikkaduwa and Tanga, the Jaya Shri Mahabodhi, the oldest known planted tree in the world, Adam's Peak, which has a Shri Prada, or the sacred footprint. Thank you so much, and I hope you get the chance to visit Sri Lanka one day.
Cool.
And of course, it is said Sri Lanka has the highest waterfall density in the world. Baker's Waterfall, Bopatella, Ravanella, just to name you a few.
And that brings us to the next segment, the...
No!
This is all of your stabilizing muscles.
It's okay, it's only 3 seconds, guys. 3, 2, 1, bam!
So as the 25th largest island on Earth, baby, in a tropical climate, Sri Lanka can hold its ground in maintaining a unique biosphere.
Yes, and one thing you'll notice though is that the element of water is a constant theme for almost everything in Sri Lanka.
For one, being situated in the center of the Indian plate gives them the lucky advantage of not dealing with any earthquakes or volcanoes, and also, the country has somewhere around 60 main offshore islands, the largest being Mannar Island, which connects to the Ramsetu Bridge. The islands go all the way off to Kachativu Island, the westernmost point of the country. From there, the country has a unique topographical layout. There are 40 low-lying lagoons and mangrove systems covering much of the coasts at about 7,000 hectares in area. This is known as the coastal belt, aka the lowest parts of the country. The largest system in the north on the Jaffna Peninsula with the Jaffna Lagoon that extends into the Palk Bay. Now, as mentioned, many of the inland bodies of water are man-made, and the largest being the dual complex Kalabalau Reservoir found near the center of the country. It was actually built by King Datusena in the 5th century AD. From there inland, you reach the plains, which make up the majority of the country's surface area, ranging from about 30 to 200 meters above sea level. This is where the majority of the nation's agriculture and forests are situated and are fed by 103 rivers, the longest one being the Mahaweli, which flows over 200 miles or 335 kilometers from the highest region of the country, the Central Highlands, all the way down to Kodiyar Bay near the city of Trincomalee. The Central Highlands, found in the south-central part of the country, which are also in themselves a protected World Heritage Site, is also where you can find the tallest peak, Biduru Talagala, at over 2,500 meters above sea level. And finally, due to the topographic layout of Sri Lanka, the country has 2 climate zones. The plains and valleys of the north, northwest, and southeast are known as the dry zones, classified as tropical savannas with shrub forests, bushes, and even cacti in some of the driest areas. Yet in the highlands and valleys of the southwest, you have the wet zones that receive nearly twice as much rainfall annually, usually in the monsoon season from October to January.
Speaking of water though, Sri Lanka is heavily powered by water.
Just curious though, because with the coastline being how it is, and I'm sure are the beaches like really shallow to where you can kind of go onto in the water and kind of walk out like a pretty far distance, basically, and with it before it goes over your head, kind of thing, because how like shallow it is. Just asking.
water, as in over 1/5 of the country is powered by dams and hydropower.
Nice.
Economically speaking, Sri Lanka has always been a major trading hub, once being the crown jewel of the spice trade, and with the highest literacy rate in South Asia at somewhere around 95%, they have top-notch labor force.
Yo, that's why we are hard workers. Tea and textiles usually come to mind when discussing resources and production. Sri Lanka is currently the 4th largest tea producer and largest tea exporter in the world, beating out Kenya and their most famous domestic brand, Dilma. I got Dilma at the house. I had Dilma before I came. Now that kind of came out weird. And the country has about 900 apparel factories, exporting mainly to Europe and the USA for companies like Victoria's Secret, Liz Claiborne, and even Tommy Hilfiger.
In addition, their mining sector is world-renowned. They even have the world's largest blue sapphire, the Star of Adam. So many colors within this country, and one thing that's even more colorful is the wildlife. And with that, here is Gary Harlow with wildlife.
Blimey! Look at this puppy right here. The breed is bird. Now, it's no surprise that a tropical island like Sri Lanka, nearly 1/5 of all flora and fauna are endemic, like the national tree Ceylon ironwood. The country has over 25 national parks, many with their own specialty, like Delft Island is one of the only few places in the world with wild ponies. Don't ride the ponies. The largest parks, though, are Wilpatu and Yala. In these parks lie some of the most fascinating mammal species, like the purple-faced LANKA, the Sri Lankan sloth bear, the grizzled giant squirrel, and the two animals that are sometimes considered national animals, the Sri Lankan elephant and the leopard. In fact, Sri Lanka is the largest elephant density in South Asia and has the largest elephant orphanage in the world at Pinawala. Birds are very prevalent here too. Some consider the Sri Lankan jungle fowl the national bird. And finally, the south coast of Sri Lanka is famous for being the best spot to not only see blue whales, but if you're daring enough, you can actually swim with them. And speaking of swimming with whales, I gotta catch a wave and surf on out of here. This is how you surf in Sri Lanka.
Thank you, Gary.
Yes, whales.
I'm guessing the whales just let you be, you know, if you swim with them, as long as you don't, like, try and touch them or something. I don't know.
The ocean, once again, the element of water. You've probably seen those images of stilt fishermen from National Geographic, right?
Wow.
Yep. That's a Sri Lanka.
Oh, and speaking of seafood.
Hey guys, thanks so much for having me on. I am so excited to be here to talk about one of my favorite topics, Sri Lankan food. So seafood plays a huge role in our cuisine. In addition, did you know that cinnamon actually originated in Sri Lanka? And no shocker, we are the #1 export of cinnamon around the world. There's about 10 different varieties and all of them slightly different in profile, but so good. So I want to get to the list of foods starting with jaggery and lump rice and hoppers and string hoppers and vada and puttu and coconut milk rice, more affectionately known as kiribath, with some spicy sambal and some hot milk tea in the mornings is the perfect breakfast item. Egg kothurati or vegetable kothurati, and my personal favorite, mutton kothurati. So good. We have the cashew curry, we have the breadfruit curry, we have Jaffna style nanda curry, also known as crab curry. Sri Lanka is also known for the famous king coconut, but what it's really used to make is a popular coconut liquor. So excited to be on, so excited to be sharing such an amazing topic with you all. And thanks so much for having me. Have a good one.
Oh, Sri Lankan crab curry. You know.
Now, you guys know me. I love jackfruit. You guys in the Bangladeshis do it really well.
Oh, yeah, man.
Well, clearly, Sri Lankans are definitely great cooks. And there's a lot of other great things, too, that Sri Lankans are known for, which brings us to the next part, the
commercial.
It makes it, I'm not a military learner whatsoever, which a lot of our lectures.
So I asked you guys, what does it mean to be Sri Lankan? And here's some things you guys, the Sri Lankan geography peeps, have said.
Sri Lankans are very hardworking people. We faced many bad situations in this country. Also, we do not hesitate to help each other when there is a bad situation in our country.
Being Sri Lankan is a blessing. You know, we come from such a small country full of, you know, diversity and many ethnic groups. And being Sri Lankan, more myself, a Sri Lankan Muslim, we've been here for so many years, so many centuries. You know, I hope people learn from this video that Sri Lanka is the best place in the world.
I think that the real beauty of Sri Lanka lies within our multicultural, our multi-religious and our multi-ethnic communities. That's what makes Sri Lanka a special country.
Being of Sri Lankan Tamil descent, it means being proud and grateful to my mother, my father, my grandparents, and my aunts and uncles for protecting me and my cousins from the horrors of the Civil War that raged on for decades, due to their perseverance. And that's something that I will carry for the rest of my life.
Okay. So, Janelle, in your opinion, what does it mean to be Sri Lankan?
It is to be able to uphold all the values and everything that my parents have taught me. So there's tiny little nuances. There's like we would actually go down on our knees and touch the feet of my parents, and we would bow them. Depends on where you grew up. The culture gives you an identity.
Right, because there's a lot of different types of Sri Lankans out
Absolutely,
there.
absolutely. Yo, you could be Sri Lankan.
Who knows?
If you're Sri Lankan, can he be Sri Lankan?
I'll just put this on.
Yo, I used to wear this, and we eat with our hands too. We don't use fork and spoon.
Oh no, yeah, that's the best way. You gotta feel the food.
Hey. See, I told you he could be Sri Lankan.
Anyway, with that, let's go to the graph.
First of all, the country has a population of about 22 million people, and they are the oldest democracy in Asia since 1948. The country is primarily made up of the Sinhala at somewhere around 75%, whereas the majority of the rest of the population is made up primarily of Tamils divided into three groups: Sri Lankan Tamils at a little over 11%, the Moors at about 9%, and the Indian Tamils at about 4%. From there, the small remaining populace is made up of various people groups like the Burghers, the Malays, the Vedas, Chinese, and so on.
Burgers?
Yeah, we'll talk about the burgers later. They use the Sri Lankan rupee as their currency, they use the types D, G, and M plug outlets, and they drive on the left side of the road, former British colony. Now, of course, due to the demographic structure, Sinhala, an Indo-Aryan language, and Tamil, a Dravidian language, two completely unintelligible languages, are co-official in Sri Lanka.
However, the prevalence of each one is concentrated in their respective regions. Tamil mostly in the north and northeast, and Sinhala in the center, southeast, and west coast, baby.
Nonetheless, official documents must be available in both languages.
Yes.
And wow, they both have incredibly good-looking scripts. Just look at those curves and diacritic vowel indicators. Gotta love me some good abagida.
Yeah, that was weird. But the point is, yes, the scripts look pretty cool.
English is also a nationally recognized language. Now,
Nice.
not everybody can still speak fluent English. But I'll tell you a few things that they know for sure, though. They know Bob Marley, right? They know 50 Cent. They know Coca-Cola.
That's all they need.
That's all they need.
That's all they need.
What's crazy is, like, I've been to houses where, they don't speak a word of English.
But they memorize the whole rap. And the whole
They
song.
know the raps.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're really spitting. But you can't even speak a word of English. But, like, they know Peter Andre, Mysterious Girl. Yo, they know all of it. I'm like, how?
You give a kid a song, they're just gonna absorb it.
I suppose my people just soak. Like, they're like a sponge. I mean, woo!
In any case, prior to the British, the Portuguese, Dutch, and almost French all took a jab at trying to control
Almost.
Sri Lanka. This is also partially why you see so many Sri Lankans with Western names and last names, especially with Portuguese. In fact, the three most common last names in Sri Lanka are Pereira, Fernando, and De Silva.
Yeah, man, that's so funny because as I was growing up, I read books and there was Fernandos and Pereiras and De Silvas. I'm like,
But it's Sri
you look
Lanka.
like me.
Yeah.
What's this?
Now, faith-wise, the majority of Sri Lankans, almost exclusively to the Sinhala group, are Buddhist, belonging to the Theravada branch. In fact, today Sri Lankan Sinhalese are the only non-racially East Asian Buddhist majority ethnic group in the modern world. Basically, a country of brown Buddhists. It was actually brought in over 2,000 years ago by the missionary Mahinda from the Ashoka Empire and mentioned in the Tripitaka. Sri Lanka has the longest continuous history of Buddhism out of any predominantly Buddhist nation on earth. But how did you grow up? What are you?
So I was born and raised a Catholic, and at some point in time,
But you're Sinhalese, right?
Yes, I'm 100% Sinhalese, but I have tons of Buddhist friends, tons of Tamil friends, tons of Muslims, right? Nobody was trying to impose their will on me.
You guys are just Sri Lankans.
That's exactly how I see it
I
too.
love that.
And by the way, Buddhism, they take it seriously in the country. It's not a gimmick. What's the one worst thing you can do while visiting Sri Lanka?
Oh, hello, young tourists. How are you enjoying Sri Lanka?
I just love the Buddha. I took all these pictures in front of Buddha and I want to buy a Buddha for my living room. Best thing, I have this little Buddha tattoo and I just love that he's so
Okay,
jolly.
I'm calling the police.
If you have a tattoo of Buddha, either get a laser removal or never show it if visiting Sri Lanka. It's considered incredibly offensive and can literally get you in trouble.
Hinduism, though, actually predates Buddhism in Sri Lanka, and the Hindu community is almost exclusively tied to the
Wow, is that true? Like, can you go to jail for that? Like, they make you remove it? Like, how does that work? Wow, that's crazy. I figured it'd be more of like, you know, no, people be, oh, well, you know, you got, you know, the people would like that, you know, you're kind of representing it. I don't know. I guess I'm way off, you know? That's interesting, though. Very interesting.
Hinduism, though, actually predates Buddhism in Sri Lanka, and the Hindu community is almost exclusively tied to the Tamil group. Specifically, Shaivism, which is the branch that predominantly worships Shiva and venerates Shiva devotees like Ravana. That's kind of... the story of Ravana is like a big deal in Sri Lanka, apparently.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Apart from the Hindus and the Buddhists, there's also the Muslim minority, 90% of whom are Tamil-speaking people called the Moors.
Although if you ask them, some may or may not actually identify as being ethnically Tamil. It's confusing, but yeah.
There is also a noticeable Christian community.
Some sociologists speculate that Christianity may actually have predated colonialism. It's an interesting theory.
Then about 40,000 people, you have the Burghers. There are the people that are essentially the Euro-Asian descendants mixed between Europeans and Sri Lankans. They developed a unique fusion culture that mixes Europe with South Asia.
And finally, you have the indigenous Vedas, only numbering today at about 6,000 people. They are considered the original inhabitants of Sri Lanka, predating anyone.
Now, traditionally, they followed a form of animism, and only about 300 people speak the Veda language today. In Sri Lanka, the one thing you'll notice...
One thing you'll notice, that say the long names.
We Sri Lankans, we have really long names. For example, one of the most famous athlete, Warnakula Surya, Patabandige, Ushanta, Joseph, Chaminda, Vas. The reason we have really long names, the king used to give a title, the occupation of your ancestors, where you're coming from, which part in Sri Lanka.
So with names, you can clearly tell that Sri Lanka has a lot of backstory. Part of that backstory involves the obvious dichotomy between the Sinhalese and the Tamil people groups. This is probably the biggest elephant in the room that cannot be avoided. Yes, there was a civil war between the two.
It dates back to 1983. So to make a long story short, it goes that the Tamils wanted a place of origin.
So essentially, it basically boiled down to the government versus the Tamil Tigers. There was a move for a separate land for the Tamil minority. Over 100,000 people died or disappeared, and over 300,000 people were in camps or internally displaced peoples. Now, when you ask like who started it or what, it all depends on who you ask, and it's always going to be a biased answer when it comes to that, you know?
It's only right.
And you were there kind of during the whole craziness.
I was, and it's so crazy, man. My mom was pregnant with my brother one time, just to give you some contrast, and it was only a month after she stopped using the train, there was a bomb.
Oh.
That was such a small incident. These bombs were going off everywhere. I'm just glad it's over.
So post-war, how would you say, is there generally kind of like a let's move forward feeling in Sri Lanka right now?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's flooded with foreigners, and we obviously need the international revenue coming in.
Right.
We come from a place where they have a 2,000-year-old written history.
You can't hide that.
That's true.
Well, that was quite a discussion. So much has happened, and they just want to move forward as best they can. And one way they move forward is with sports. And with that, here's Art with the sports part.
I like that, you know, I like, you know, countries, a lot of countries have, you know, their civil wars, but obviously they're past it and have moved on. And I also want to ask, you know, the long names, I'm just curious, does that get annoying at all? Like you're going online, you're signing up for like an app or something. I guess the internet might be a little, I guess, you know, the sign up stuff might be a little different over there. Like to type your long name in, I'm just, you know, it's weird things like that to get my attention. I'm sorry.
One way they move forward is with sports. And with that, here's Art with the sports part.
Whoa, this is a cricket ball, and guess what? We're gonna talk about it. Now, most textbook sources will tell you that the national sport is volleyball, and yes, technically it is. However, cricket is often considered the most celebrated and practiced sport. There have been a lot of records in cricket, and even have the highest team score in test cricket at 952. I'm gonna pretend like I actually know what that means. They won the World Cricket Cup in 1996, making it...
Yeah, I know nothing about cricket. I think I've seen a video where like one cricket match can last for days. Is that a thing? I have no idea. One day I'm going to do like a reaction video to just learning cricket. But anyways.
I'm gonna pretend like I actually know what that means. They won the World Cricket Cup in 1996, making it the only Sri Lanka sport that has ever been crowned a world champion. They even have their own version of March Madness, in which parades and performances dedicated to the opening cricket matches of college cricket season. There's Sri Lankan style tailgating, after parties, drunken fights between fans and dancing. It's that crazy. So you don't see that kind of treatment with volleyball in Sri Lanka. Otherwise, of course, cricket isn't the only thing going on in Sri Lanka. We have rugby, netball, and Australian rules football, which are all growing in a lot of popularity. Their women's netball team has won the Asian Netball Championship 4 times. 4 times.
For art.
Everyone in the country knows this lady, known as the Asian Black Mare, who won the only Olympic medal for the country.
Technically, there was another medal when they were under British Sri Lanka.
They have 2 native styles of martial arts, China Di, which is like Kung Fu, but more focused on grappling, and Ang Ampora, which is both a body combat and weaponry style that uses things like knives, swords, and whip blade. And finally, this is not so much a sport, but rather a recreational activity. Sri Lankans are really good at tabletop game Karam. Strangely enough, there's literally a World Cup for this game, and Sri Lanka usually dominates and consistently holds a world champion title in both men and women's divisions. They even hold the dog division as well. He was watching that ball.
Oh my god.
All right, me and Tarch are gonna go play some cricket.
Thank you, Art. We have this pillow fights, which is like pillow fights. Pillow fights. So it's you're sitting on a log, and you just knock each other out until one of them falls down.
And yeah, there's so much other stuff going on with Sri Lanka's culture. Here to explain a little bit more, here is Hannah.
It's good to be back. Sri Lanka's origins are documented in the Mahavamsa, the Great Chronicle, and Kulavamsa, the Lesser Chronicle, with the first king in the 5th century BC to the British occupation in 1825. Within that time, it's also speculated that Sri Lanka might have the world's first hospital. And of course, with religion comes religious festivals and celebrations. Sri Lanka is actually the country with the 2nd most public holidays after Cambodia. Every full moon, or Poya, is considered a holiday. Each full moon represents a different story for Buddha. For the Hindu community, there are tons of distinct festivals and celebrations too. The most notable one probably being the Kavadi or burden dance. Viewer discretion advised. This is a ceremonial sacrifice and offering practiced by Hindu devotees of Lord Murugan, the god of war, and the goddess Kali, the destroyer. Worshippers honor the deities by enduring pain in a variety of ways. And for the extreme, some may receive body piercings and suspensions by hooks penetrating the skin on the back. If you're into art, you'll be pleased to find tons of Kandyan era murals dating back to the 15th century. And just because it's kind of my thing, here's a bit of cinematic backstory. Dating back to the first Sinhalese film in 1947, Sri Lanka has seen its moments in the entertainment industry. Sri Lanka was also the setting for many Hollywood blockbusters, like The Bridge Over River Kwai and Indiana Jones' Temple of Doom. But if you guys want to learn more about film and culture and history through film of Sri Lanka, go follow the Filmography Now YouTube channel.
Hannah has a spin-off.
Hannah has a spin-off. And in these films, there's a lot of historical music. And with that, is Keith even here? I really hope he's not.
Music of Sri Lanka. One thing is for sure, Sri Lanka loves drums. Everything from the Udeki drum to the demon drum. The country is known for having 3 unique dance styles: the low country dance, the devil dance, and the candy style. There was a period in time when African slaves came over and played a major role in creating Bela.
Baila. It's okay, Keith. Just keep going.
This is probably the most popular music style in Sri Lanka, and it's played at everything from special occasions, weddings. This dude is probably the most well-known guy who helped create Bela. From there, Sri Lanka evolved its music industry into the 20th century and the 21st century. Sri Lankan artists and bands arose through the times from radio. There will be a list right here. Presenteth list. Yes, even English female rapper MIA is Sri Lankan. Yes. If you're Sri Lankan, let us know in the comment section down below what you think should be included in what we should know about Sri Lankan music. By the way, Hannah's new YouTube channel, Filmography Now. It's kind of cool. You should probably go check it out, even though I hate Hannah. Whee!
Thank you, Keith.
This is my Tupac of Sri Lanka. That's
Okay.
Clarence Vijayawardena. He is considered the king of Sri Lankan pop music. And then you got the Amaradevers, Nanda Malini. I'm telling y'all, man, we still haven't even tapped into 1% of the total potential of our music.
As you can see, Sri Lanka has a lot to show the world with their culture and tradition. And with that, let's see how the rest of the world responds to Sri Lanka's colors in our final segment, the...
Hey, it's Danielle here at Four Patriots with some really great news. Our all-time best-selling
Much of Sri Lanka's history was already intertwined with international interaction.
You don't get the nickname the Pearl of the Indian Ocean by accident.
For one, Sri Lanka has stated multiple times that it takes specific non-aligned foreign policies and does not take sides with major world powers and pursues friendship with all. On that note, much of the government might say China is close due to the many loans and investments that have been given to them. However, like many other small developing nations, Sri Lankans are keeping a close eye on these acts. Many Sri Lankans move to Australia for studies and work, especially in Melbourne, which has the largest Sri Lankan community out of any city in Australia. Indonesia and Singapore offer visa-free visits to Sri Lankans, and many of the Tamil Sri Lankans have family with the Tamil community in Singapore. Now, you would think that as their closest neighbor, relations with India would be super close, but it's a little complicated. It's more like a love-hate relationship that they've had for thousands of years. Yes, in a sense, both the Sinhalese and Tamils have roots in India, and yes, they owe the introduction of Buddhism to India via the Ashoka Empire, and yes, India tried to help sort out the civil war, even though Rajiv Gandhi was assassinated by the Tamil Tigers on the process. Nonetheless, much of the diplomacy is rooted in aid that India provides, and of course, Sri Lankans love things like Bollywood films and Indian cultural imports. They just, really hate the Indian cricket team. Pakistan has always been a closer ally, as Sri Lanka kind of acted like a transit point between West and East Pakistan, which is now Bangladesh, during the Indo-Pak wars of the 60s and 70s, as Indian airspace was closed to them. Pakistan, in return, has supplied much of Sri Lanka's armed forces with military equipment and has helped them during civil war times. In the end, though, interestingly enough, one country that seems to pop out in many Sri Lankans' minds when asked which country is closest to them would be the Maldives. As island nations in the Indian Ocean heavily dependent on maritime trade and culture, the two instantly click on almost any diplomatic level. The heads of states have visited each other to discuss bilateral relations and interests. The Maldivian Defense Force is trained by Sri Lanka's military. Over half of Maldives' exports go to Sri Lanka. Many Maldivian tour operators are located in Sri Lanka with travel packages, including both countries, and they even share an underwater fiber optic cable for joint telecommunication service. Overall, these two countries work together very well and understand each other probably better than anyone else.
Wow.
All right, and in conclusion, obviously, Janil, I think you should take this. I'm out.
So something that I want y'all to know, man, our bounce back game is super strong. People try to take over our country thousands of years ago. And then we had civil war going on. The tsunami hit. We bounced back from that too. And it's depicted in so many areas of who we are. We never stood down. We always rose.
Well said, Janil. I love that. All right, and with that, what's the next country, Janil?
We're gonna talk about Sudan, baby.
Next one coming up.
Get ready.
Stay tuned.
Woo! Oops. I didn't mean to hit it. Oops. I didn't mean to do it. Alright. Alright. Anyways, guys. Sri Lanka, you guys are awesome. A lot going on, like always, in countries, but history definitely built up a lot. I'm actually surprised they didn't go into more in-depth look at the history. Like, usually they do this timeline thing, and I really wish they did that here, but unfortunately they didn't. But obviously a lot of different countries involved in the history of this beautiful country. And yeah, and I guess the Civil War kind of just recently, and it was like 10, 12 years ago, something like that. But apparently everything's really cool, very welcoming to tourists. Just don't go there with a Buddha tattoo, But other than that, you guys look like a really fun, friendly country. I'm actually really surprised that India is not your best friends, but obviously there's I guess a little bit of tension there because of sports and maybe just some other stuff. But anyways, cool country. I hope you guys like this video. Please hit that like and subscribe button below. I'd really appreciate it. And I'll catch you guys in future videos. Is Sudan out yet? The next one, let me know in the comments below if there's countries I haven't done yet, because I'll end up getting to all of them when they get released. But anyway, guys, peace. Catch you guys in future videos. Always fun to watch these videos with you guys. But you guys have